Hello, my name is Gabriel, and today I'm here with Carson Gaither. We're going to be talking about UFC 259, and it just happened last night, and it's still pretty fresh on our mind, and we have a few things that we wanted to say about the entirety of the main card.
Alright, yeah. It was a very wild night in UFC last night. We had, 3 title fights.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
One was going to be a champ, and then it was a champ against Megan Anderson, and then we had Petr Yan versus Sterling.
yeah. Aljamain come out in that fight very strong. He brought the fight to Pelter very quick. They wrestled a lot, but the strikes that Pelter was landing compared to the strikes Aljamain was landing, I really didn't see much competition in the fight. I mean, Aljamain, it does show that he was landing more, but it's just the power of the strikes was the difference between them and the takedowns. They wrestled a lot, and Aljamain, he very much prides himself on being able to wrestle. And, I mean, he showed up and showed out until he got illegally kneed, which, I mean, you really can't be mad at the man. That's not his fault. I can understand why he would have been heartbroken.
It sucks that in round 4 you get illegally kneed. That really sucks, especially when you were pulling ahead. You know, how do you say that?
Oh, Pelter.
Pelter Yan with 7 takedowns and 103 total strikes. I mean, that's a lot of takedowns. That's a lot of points that he could have had on the board.
If you look right there, the 86 to 97 and the 103 to 119 with Pelter and Aljamain, that really doesn't make, that's a lot. But when you see right here where he landed 100% of his takedowns, but go down and see what his control was. Does it show his control?
Or
how much control time he had?
Show the control time, I think. See here, round 3, significant strikes, takedowns, total strikes, pass. It doesn't look like it's going to show us the control. Wait.
I'm trying to see if you can get a...
If I could get control, that would be great.
Ground.
That doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it's not showing much.
Oh, well. But we are able to know about the different strikes, significant strikes in position. And it's pretty clear as to what do you think about this?
It shows that in the clinch that it was really close, and it was also kind of close on the ground. I mean, you got Pelter landing 10 strikes.
I mean, it's 10 to 5.
Yeah, he lands 10 strikes on the ground. But Aljamain landed 100% of his strikes though.
Yeah, he did. And I think when it came down to it, if it hadn't been a disqualification and they had been able to fight all 5 rounds, I am almost certain that it would have went to decision.
It was going to decision, and I think Aljamain was going to take the fight anyways.
But
momentum was there.
But you could hear the ref in the fight telling him that the knee was down when he delivered the.
He told him ground. He said ground opponent.
Yeah.
But you got to think Pelter don't speak English.
That is true, but still, I mean, if you're going to be fighting and you're a champion,
he didn't understand what his coaches were telling him either. He
said
he just threw. He didn't know. He said all he knew was that he was prepared to throw that knee when he got up. Whether or not that he heard the ref say he was down or not, I'm guessing whatever movement Aljamain made, it made him go straight for the yes. I'm throwing this knee now, and it just so happened to be he wasn't getting up.
Yeah, and that really does suck because in the end of it all, that disqualified him.
Yeah.
And it could have went to decision, and he had the chance of winning. There was still an entire round that they didn't get to fight.
I could see where Aljamain was really upset because, I mean, nobody wants to win like that.
Yeah, no.
Especially when he had something to prove.
Yeah, to win by disqualification due to an illegal strike that may have been an accident, that's got to suck.
I would very much like to see them run it back.
I think that I really hope that they do a rematch, and I believe that it could happen. I believe that it should and will happen.
Pelter asked for an immediate rematch.
Well, he's gonna. I don't know. It was a great match all up until the illegal strike was thrown. And then that was pretty much it. I mean, there's not much left to say about it.
I'll tell you what. One of the best fights I watched last night on the main card probably had to be Thiago Santos and Alexander Rakic. That fight was pretty beautiful in a sense of striking and takedown defense, clinch work. Yeah, go click on that real quick.
Yeah, let's look at this one's this scorecard here. Yeah, Thiago Santos, he had 61 total strikes to 50. It was a unanimous decision apparently. But yeah, they were trading blows. That's for sure. That is for sure.
I mean, what is showing right here? Go down some more. Let's see.
0 knockdown, 0 submission attempts or the versus, but total strikes were there.
15 to 14.
15 to 14. 18 to 24 totals. And 11 to 15 significant strikes. I believe significant strikes, even though
He
the
had
total amount matters.
Rockets won the second round.
Mm-hmm. And then, 28 to 12 total strikes and 23 significant strikes. You know, that's kind of like where they say you miss every shot you don't take. The more total strikes that you can get, obviously, hopefully, the more significant strikes you're going to land. So the more strikes that you can throw out. So like 12 and 7, even though the ratio it's there, it's pretty similar. Because there were more in round 3, you can see pretty easily who round 3 went to. I mean, and when we look at the total strikes, significant strikes to the body, you can see that they were both aiming pretty consistently in one place on each other's
Rockets, but you could tell. This brings up back to round what I was telling you about earlier before we started recording. Rockets and Israel Adesanya. I think it's France Caracar or whatever his last name is. I really don't remember it, but they all train at the same gym.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look here, 42% of his strikes were to the legs.
Yep.
And if you go back and watch the Israel Adesanya Yoel Romero championship fight, Israel Adesanya won that fight off leg kicks alone.
Mm-hmm. If you can knock a man's legs out from under him, it can keep him from fighting.
Most people don't think to block the legs because there's not a lot of people out there that really are efficient enough in their style and in their form to think to attack the legs. They do from time to time, but they move their body and head strikes.
They're looking for the knockout. They're not looking for the knockdown by leg.
They want finishes. A lot of fighters nowadays, these new guys, they want finishes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, finishes are nice, but
I mean, you've got some people who can pull off finishes like that, like Conor McGregor and people like that. But when it comes down to it, when you're trying to think tactfully, it makes sense to go after the legs. You know, to break down a building, you first need to destroy the foundation because that's what it was built upon. It's the same with people. So if you can attack the legs, you have a higher chance of winning. And that just makes more sense.
But see, what was good go back down to the stats again. What was good about everything right here is that 20%, or he only landed 8 strikes to the head out of however many he threw. And Thiago, he landed 10 out of however many he threw. Mm-hmm. But throwing less strikes and landing more, it makes a big difference. Because look there, I mean, he threw 8 strikes.
But landed 22% of them.
He only landed 8 strikes, but that was 22% of the strikes he landed.
And that comes back to points. It's when it becomes a points game.
And look, you got 20, 47, 33, and then you got 22, 36, 42. Mm-hmm. He's beating him in 2 categories there. It just annihilating his body, it seems like. But I mean, it was really a chess match. The fight went to decision. It was 3 5-minute rounds. I mean, they worked. They put their all out and they left it in the octagon. That's really all you can ask for a fight on a card. I mean, they wasn't static or stagnant and not moving or pushing the issue. They was both throwing. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of action. I mean, it was a very good fight to watch.
Yeah, it was entertaining, but not only was it entertaining, it was also insightful to understand how these fighters think. You can see 2 different types of fighting styles. I feel pretty confident in saying that when someone's attacking the body, it's typically because they're thinking about a takedown of some sort. Because if you can wear out their body, it makes it harder for them to make passes and defend.
Harder to throw. The more you take out areas of the body, the less they're going to try to throw that. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much isolating a limb, mm-hmm. attacking one certain leg or one certain arm or part of the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll tell you what was a good fight. It wasn't on the main card, but I was speaking about him just a second ago. Kara Carr.
Mm. The guy who trained
walk-off victory over who did he fight? Check and see if you can find out. It'll be in the prelims.
Yeah,
early prelims.
This is the main card here. So
go down like prelims right there. Right. All right, go down. He fought
Rogerio Bontorin.
I forgot how they said his name.
I can't remember.
But he had. That was a fight. Kai Kara France was in so many bad positions, mm-hmm. and his nickname says it all. Don't blink. Because in a blink of an eye, this man can mm-hmm. finish the fight. And that's what I love about these people like Israel and Rokic and them. the place they train at and the gym they represent, they do everything so fluid, and they focus on style and your form.
I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You can get all the points in the world that you want, but if that fight is ended in TKO or KO, the fight's over, and it doesn't matter how many strikes you landed. It doesn't matter how much control you had. It doesn't matter how many takedowns you had. If he beats you by submission, KO, or TKO, the fight's over. You've lost.
Nobody's going to care how many strikes you landed if your body's laying across the canvas.
Nope.
If you get face planted like Kai France did to Rogerio Bonitrin, I think that's what they said his name. But the funny thing is, when Kai France dropped him, Herb Dean kind of just hovered over him. Like, he didn't necessarily like stop the fight, but he was just like standing there hovering over him looking at him. And then Kai France comes running back, and he was going to hit him again.
He was going to hit him again because he didn't think that the fight was over.
And then Buddy got up, Rogerio got up and threw his mouthpiece at him. That was crazy.
That was crazy. And, like, it's kind of interesting to see because you could see he was stunned for a second there. Yeah. That second hit, I mean, technically it wouldn't have been illegal.
I mean, the man fell face first, like, fetal position. He went face first to the ground. He was asleep.
He did jump up and try and chase him down just to fall down again. So that does show that adrenaline surged and he was ready to fight again, but really
it was over with. If he would have got touched again, once he got up, he would have got touched again, he would have went sleep.
He would have been taking a nap.
Yeah, it would have been bad. But
that was a brilliant fight on both fighters' ends. But Kai France, he really did show.
There's another fight that I wouldn't mind talking about on this on the prelims, and that's Dominic Cruz and Chase Kinney. That was actually a very good fight, being as that what all Dominic Cruz has went through. He come from WEC way back when, before really UFC even made their surge of being as good as they was.
Yeah, he's the guy that he fought, became a commentator, fought again, and then left again, right?
He's been a champion. He was the bantamweight champion in WEC. He was the bantamweight champion. He was the first bantamweight champion, I think, in he might not have been the first, but he was one of the first bantamweight champions when they brought the bantamweight division to the UFC.
He's the guy that hasn't won by decision.
He didn't
since 2009 until now.
Since 2009, since last night, yes.
This is the first time he's won one. But I mean, when you look at it, when you look at the total strikes, the significant strikes, the number of takedowns, and takedowns really matter, takedowns and all that, you can kind of see why he won by a split decision.
I mean, really, your takedowns, they matter, but they really only matter if you're having control after it. Because if you're taking somebody to the ground
and they just immediately get up.
I mean, yes, you get awarded a takedown, and that's a point or points of some matter. But if you're just getting takedowns and they're getting right back up, they're really not going to look at that. They look at control, clinch, control, pushing the issue, having action, moving forward.
That's where Khabib, in that one fight where he almost lost.
Gleison Tibau. I think, in that fight, it was said that Gleison Tibau did not win a single round. It was a unanimous decision. At the time when I was watching this fight and looking up on it, doing some research, I didn't really know much about how the point system worked. Like I knew certain things caught certain points and certain things didn't. But Gleison Tibau is like, he outstriked him standing up. This man did something that nobody else has ever done against Khabib. This man stuffed all 13 takedown attempts. He never got took down once. And took Khabib down twice. Took his back twice. Yes, he didn't hold him there long, but he still took him there and held him there for a couple seconds. Enough for it to mean something.
Yeah. But that control's what got him in the end.
It was that pushing. It was really Khabib pushing him up, staying in his face the whole time, like making those takedown attempts, and which is also where, like we were saying, takedowns are important and the control's important too. But if you're taking or trying to take somebody down, and even if they are stuffing your attempts, if they're really not doing much and you're still pushing that issue, trying to take them down and trying to do that, those points come in, and then it starts. That starts building up. And now, I mean, I can understand. I'm over the fact that, okay, he won, blah, 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 blah. But I still believe that Gleison Tibau should at least been awarded a round.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That was like disrespect to that man. He was a veteran coming up against that. Like,
And this was his third fight, wasn't it? It was Khabib's third fight.
I think it may have been it was one of his first fights in the UFC, but he was 17-0.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it was an interesting fight, that's for sure, and it's not really what we're talking about right now, but it shows that ground control or control in general really matters when it comes to points and decisions.
All right, well, circling back around to the topic of UFC 259, let's hop back over to the main card for a second. I want to talk about the extreme, absolute mockery Amanda Nunes made of Megan Anderson last night.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Whoever put money on Megan Anderson to win, slap yourself.
That was foolish.
Who is your influence? I don't know what type of fight y'all was watching or what type of champion fighter in the women's division y'all have been watching these past couple of years, but Amanda Nunes is that girl, and has been that girl for a long time, and the way she's been fighting, her last two opponents that happened to have fought her in a championship setting hasn't made it past the first round.
Mm-hmm. And here is another excellent example of why she is the lioness of UFC.
I mean, come on. I can understand sleeping somebody within the first couple minutes or the first minute of the first round.
But
submitting her with a triangle and an armbar at the same time.
And you got to remember she had not only the reach advantage, but she had the size advantage, and she still got submitted.
When Amanda hit Megan the first time, Megan's eyes got so wide, she looked like she had seen a ghost. Mm-hmm. She completely forgot everything her coaches told her, her complete training camp, where she was at, why she was in the octagon, her life choices. She was asking herself, why am I here? Why am I doing this to myself?
She was not experienced enough. Amanda Nunes made her look like this was her first fight.
Amanda Nunes makes her opponents look like they don't belong in the MMA. Like they make them look like they don't even need to be doing combat sports, period.
Megan Anderson could be one of the greatest fighters I think she comes from Australia. She could be one of the greatest fighters from her place, but against Amanda Nunes, there's really no competition.
There's nobody that's gonna match her anytime soon in my eyes.
No,
there's no way.
I can't see it.
And the way I see it, really, John Jones, he posted on Twitter last night. He said, book Amanda Nunes a fight next week. And I completely agree with that. The way she's fighting and the way she's dominating opponents, I believe she should be fighting every week until that girl loses. And I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
No. When you think about it, she's the champ for a reason.
She is the women's bantamweight and featherweight title holder for a reason.
She's not no pushover,
and she defends both titles religiously.
You can put somebody who outclasses her in just about everything except for style, because no one's going to get up against her, and she will beat the daylights out of that person.
Watching Amanda Nunes fight and claiming you find holes in her game, opposed to standing in front of her and receiving one of them strikes, is completely different. And that's what these girls ain't realizing.
It's like the old saying, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yes, she knocks the game plan completely out of people.
And it's funny, she never even reached Megan Anderson's face. She didn't have to.
No, she hit her, the first one landed to the mouth. But she hit her and dotted her up a couple times. The first couple, go pull it up.
Alright, let's watch.
Look, watch, I'm telling you, dude. It didn't last long, and for good reason it didn't last long.
Megan Anderson should have never been in that fight. That was a mockery.
I mean, no, I wouldn't go as far as saying that.
I don't think she was ready for it.
Nobody is ready for Amanda Nunes ever. This is a recap. He's just gonna talk about it.
Yeah, he's
doing what we're doing.
Yep.
No free clout this way.
All right. I ain't even gonna mention who that was.
Oh, fuck that. Oh.
Recap. Amanda Nunes weigh in. Well, we'll just I'll take
full fight.
For it. Hang on.
That's what you gotta do.
There we go.
There you go.
Full fight.
Cause it don't last long, I promise.
There's that shot to the forehead.
Are you not on YouTube?
I'm just on Google right now.
Go to YouTube.
There's YouTube right there.
I think there's one. Yeah, skip over some. Yeah, that's it. See what? She's Megan is not small by no means.
No.
She's big.
And she's not inexperienced. She just wasn't
strong.
experienced enough. That's all it was.
She wasn't prepared for the power Amanda Nunes had prepared for her.
No one in that class is.
Nobody in either of the weight classes. The only thing I could see probably happening is if Valentina Shevchenko comes up from flyweight and makes her come up, and then maybe she would give her a shot. But I think Amanda would annihilate her. And the thing is, I think Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko's already fought, and Amanda won.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's the only other girl or woman in that division or in the whole UFC that I think that can take Amanda.
Amanda Nunes has proven herself over and over and over again, and she deserves the title champ.
I mean, she's GOAT. There ain't gonna be another female fighter that's gonna be as good as her.
Nope.
She sent Ronda Rousey to the WWE, annihilated Holly Holm, beat the brakes off Chris Cyborg, and has made a mockery of everybody else she's fought since.
Yep.
She's fought in two rounds in the last 2 fights, I think. And I think the other fight may have went longer in the first round, but it didn't last long. The girl got beat up. Bad.
Here we go. This is the fight.
It's the first strike Amanda throws. Watch how wide-eyed Megan gets. She can already tell she's scared. Look at her body language.
Yeah, she was nervous, and with good reason to be nervous.
She was never comfortable in that fight. Amanda was never in trouble. See, look, that strike landed. Now watch.
And look at her. You can just kind of tell that she's not.
She gets took to the ground, and now she's getting beat on.
And
she tried to take the takedown, and then it's nothing. Now she's taking her back, and she's finna triangle. And when she gets that arm free, it's over with.
Yep.
Yeah, she's got a triangle.
Triangle.
What? Yep.
And then arm bar. She better tap or she's going to go to sleep.
She said she's gonna tap or she's gonna go to sleep.
I mean, that's really all there is to it. I don't personally believe Megan Anderson was ready for that fight. I don't believe any of them are, but I believe that she wasn't experienced enough. Now, if she trained for a lot longer, she could maybe give Amanda Nunes a run for her money. Maybe.
She needs to go back to the drawing board.
She's got the size. She's got the strength.
She can wrestle. I mean,
she's got the endurance. She's got the
She's a
stamina.
good fighter.
She doesn't have the experience, I don't think.
She doesn't have enough fights under her belt.
No.
Like, a lot of these girls that's going up to fight Amanda and fight Valentina and all these people, I really don't hear much about them. And mind you, I keep up with this sport a pretty good bit, and I notice names and I notice up and coming prospects and stuff like that. But a lot of these people I never really hear about. I've heard of Megan Anderson, but the girl that fought what was that last fight we watched at that fight night card?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. It was a pretty big upset for you and Dawson, but I can't remember their names.
Our nickname's The Future.
Yeah, I can't remember their names, but I remember that was a pretty big upset because everyone was pretty set that the loser was going to win. I can't remember their names right now. Not right offhand.
I can't either, to be honest with you. But let's get on up to the talk of the talk.
Yeah,
the main event.
The one
fight.
we want to talk about here.
I really don't.
Yeah, this one hurt my feelings.
Yeah, this one kind of ruined my mood for the rest of the night.
I was a little upset.
But I couldn't think of a better person for Israel to lose to. Jan is classy. Israel was in high hopes. I mean, look, the man wasn't mad at the end. He said dare to be great. He knew he knew the obstacle he was going. The face. He knew what he had to do. But I mean, look at it like this. Man didn't lose his middleweight title. Dude is he lost, but he still goes home the middleweight champion. He goes back to 185 and defends his belt.
And he's still a champ. He might not be a champ.
But that's not saying that he can't make. He said he's coming back to 205.
Yeah.
This was Israel's first fight at 205.
Oh yeah. He could definitely come back and make an amazing return.
Oh, he'll come back and it'll be a reckoning in that division just like it was in the middleweights. Yep. This man fought 75 pro fights in kickboxing over in New Zealand before he came to the UFC.
And he lost one.
Look it up right quick. I wouldn't quote myself on that, but I know he got knocked out really, really bad. Kickboxing.
There we go. New Zealand kickboxing. What is kickboxing record? It's 20-0 since transition.
No, that's his MMA career.
Yeah,
I'm talking about. And go up and put New Zealand beside it. Because he kickboxed. There it is. Let's see.
Still talking about his 20-1. Oh God, 20-1 burns my tongue.
Yeah, that wasn't.
I mean, it's not like it was
hold
just
up. Glory record. Was born in Nigeria with his family in 2001 after taking up Muay Thai under Derek Burton.
Kickbox correct.
2-2.
32-0.
Wins. He may have lost. He's lost a couple fights, but he hasn't lost many.
And when you think about it, this fight wasn't just a blowout. It wasn't just a slaughter. It was a chess match between two guys who went 5 rounds and had to go into decision.
Do you know when he first started in mixed martial arts, kickboxing, all that over in New Zealand? They brought him. He started like in China, kind of. They brought him in as the pushover for the other people that were supposed to be up and coming in their sports league. They brought him over to get beat on, and he started whooping everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man's his fault. He's got the experience, and that's what everybody seems to try to take away from this man. Yes, he was a rookie coming into the UFC.
But that doesn't mean he was a rookie fighter.
But the man has fought 75 pro fights, not real amateur, pro fights.
Mm-hmm.
Before transit, he said he was going to make sure he was ready before transitioning to the UFC. His dream was going to the UFC anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But he wanted to go out and get that experience under his belt. So when he come in, these people wasn't just going to walk over him.
No,
he come into the middleweights and destroyed everybody. As far as I'm concerned, he's got one loss in light heavyweight, in the light heavyweight division at 205.
Mm-hmm.
He's still undefeated at middleweight. Ain't nobody touched him. The only person that's come close is the American-Italian Adam Vittori. I don't know if that was his first name or not, but I know his last name is Vittori. And Kelvin Gastelum.
I remember people were talking about the Paulo Costa fight and saying that he was going to take him to the ground and sub him. Didn't happen.
But see, he fought. People want to talk about Izzy, and yes, he got outclassed in wrestling, and on paper he got outstriked, but it wasn't that bad. He didn't really necessarily get beat on.
This is a guy, Jan Blachowicz is a guy that knocks people out. Those strikes that he landed on Israel, it should have knocked him out. If it was anyone else, it would.
Most light heavyweights, they would have fell victim to that. They would have fell across the canvas. Look at what happened to Dominic Reyes. He got hit one of them strikes and got laid out. He stumbled backwards and laid across the mat and got beat to sleep.
Mm-hmm. But Israel didn't.
Okay, he gets took him down 4 times. All right, yes. Jan Blachowicz is a black belt, and yes, you can bring up the damn topic of is he fighting a black belt at Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa never got close enough or in the position to even attempt to take Izzy to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got close enough, he got tagged up. And when Paulo finally got to the ground, it was him getting hit with elbows and fists until he got called out.
I think part of the problem, I think some of the reasons that Izzy went down was because he wanted to show off his experience that he's gained with jiu-jitsu, but he didn't. I don't think he really realized what a black belt is to a blue belt. And I think he was trying to show that he's got more experience, and it kind of blew up a little bit in his face.
I mean, I think he understands like the experience level and the gap, but he also said he knew what he wanted to do, but he just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And he also said the weight played a big part in it. I said it earlier. He jumped from 185 to 205 without gaining the weight first. He went straight into his training camp against Jan and gained the weight through his training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Going from 185, like this is how his timeline went. 185 title defense against Paulo Costa. 205 challenging Jan Blachowicz, light heavyweight champion. That's a big jump.
That's a big jump.
There was no wait time in between. Izzy didn't take no break to put the weight on, to train, get ready for that. He went straight into it and didn't get finished. Went the distance with him. Yeah. And you know, he touched him up too a couple times. He put some things on him.
Yeah.
He started getting comfortable.
I think even though it was a loss, it was also a win with experience because he didn't get subbed, he didn't get KO'd, he didn't get TKO'd.
He got out of a sub attempt.
Yeah, he did.
Jan tried to do a stand in RNC and Izzy got out of it.
I think that shows the endurance and the ability to think on your feet.
That's the heart of a champion.
He is a champion. No one can take that away from him. He is the champion of his class.
And he's coming back to that division.
And he's coming back, and he's going to start showing people that he's just a champion, period.
The thing is, he didn't even, most people when they do a weight jump like that, they'll fight one of the lower ranked people in that, in that division. Izzy went from 185 at the top of 185, jumped straight to the top of 205.
Mm-hmm.
He bypassed and dismissed all the other rules, or not necessarily rules, but ways of getting to a title fight there.
Mm-hmm. And what was interesting is in the post-fight interview with Jan, Jan actually mentioned that he thought Israel would be faster but less hard-hitting, but Israel ended up being slower than he expected, but hit a lot harder than he thought.
Izzy says he doesn't throw and hope, he aims and fires.
He aims and fires, and he's got power. People were saying that Israel Adesanya didn't have power, but he's got power.
He's got knockout power, and he's got technique. He's got style. He blends everything together, and everything's just so fluent. He moves so graciously when he does his things.
He knows what he wants when he throws that punch or that kick. He knows what he's going.
He doesn't expect going into the fight that he's going to land 50% or 65 or 75%. His mindset going into the fight is that he's going to land 100% of his strikes, and 9 times out of 10, that's more than likely what's going to happen.
Yeah. But we're talking a lot about Israel, but Jan is an incredible fighter.
I have nothing against Jan. I like Jan as a fighter.
He's an incredible fighter.
He's one of the best light heavyweights to do it.
Yep.
I mean, besides you got John Jones and Daniel Cormier and some of the other greats, but I mean, Jan, I don't see anybody taking the title from him. If you go and look, if you would, right quick, pull up the rankings and the roster on the heavyweight, light heavyweight division. Because if I remember correctly, I've already checked this out before. There's really nobody else in the light heavyweight division that, in my eyes, I think is going to give him a shot. Go down.
Wait,
Go down. Right there. Alright, see, the next person that I think is going to give him a shot is Glover Teixeira. Alright, Glover Teixeira, he's going to be the next one to get a championship fight in my eyes. I mean, he's the number 1 contender. That's just how it goes. But if you also look, there's 2 guys in there that we just talked about that also fought each other, Thiago Santos and Alexander Rakic. If they get their shot at the title, I mean, they might give Jan a run for his money. But this man can wrestle, and he can hit you really hard, and that's what really matters out of all of it. Mm-hmm. He has 8 wins by knockout, 9 wins by submission. He's on a 4-fight win streak. You know what's crazy though? His last 4 fights, he has been the underdog and won every single one of them. Yep. He's been the champion of 2 of those 4 fights. He was the champion, still the underdog.
Yep. And he fought another champion, and he still won. Like that's incredible. No one should take any. I'm
not trying to take nothing against Jan. He's a great fighter.
Oh yeah, Israel.
He's classy. He knows what he's doing. He's strong.
We focus on Israel because that's the one that we wanted to win. But at the end of the day, Jan is still an amazing fighter and deserves that win. Like in my eyes, he deserves it. He won that fight. It wasn't just a landslide victory.
But see, the thing is, and what's really crazy, and what I hate, and which is really kind of disrespectful to the man and his game, is that me and you wasn't the only people counting him out.
Mm-hmm.
He's the underdog. There was a lot of people counting that Izzy was going to go in there and do easy things and handle business. But no. He went in there. He stood his own. He brought the fight to him, and he didn't slouch back. He didn't shy away from the challenge. He went the full 5 rounds. He fought that man for 30 minutes.
And it is ridiculous that people are saying Izzy got robbed. It's not true.
I mean, he didn't get robbed. He got outclassed and wrestled. I mean, he was wrestling a black belt. I mean, you can't expect to go out there and out wrestle a black belt like that. Jan does that. He weighed
9 by
5 pounds.
submission. 9 by submission. But he didn't submit Izzy. That shows both of them how good they are at this. He got him to the ground. Yeah, he didn't sub him, but he got him to the ground.
And when he was there on the ground, he kept him there.
Yep.
And you get extra points if you pass guard easy. If you just pass guard with no resistance.
I mean,
and that's what he was doing. He was going from half guard to side guard, half guard to side guard.
We're looking at his stats now. He's got 49% striking accuracy. He's got a total of 580 significant strikes landed and 1,187.
That means he is landing right under half of all of his strikes that he's thrown. in the UFC alone.
That's nothing to scoff at. That's really impressive.
It really is. Like it's nothing to shy away from. The man does what he's supposed to do when he's supposed to do it.
The man is a fighter, and anyone saying that Israel Adesanya was robbed and any of that is just disrespectful to Jan.
I don't believe he got robbed. Like I said, I think he got outclassed. He just got outclassed in certain areas. I mean, Jan outstriked. Like I'm not going to go as far as saying like he completely outstriked him, but
it was a chess match.
He brought his A game. He come in. He had something. Both of them had something to prove, but Jan wanted it more, and that's all that matters at the end of the day is who wants it more.
Israel wanted a challenge, and that's exactly what he got. He got a challenge. He got out-wrestled. He knows what he needs to do to come back and claim that championship.
The best thing he said in the entire thing was dare to be great. He said all these, spectators and coaches and everybody on the sidelines talking about him doing this and him doing that, but he's the one out there doing it.
Yeah, well, we can talk about it all we want, but at the end of the day, I'm not a champion and you're not a champion.
I didn't step in the octagon with Jan Blachowicz last night and challenge him for his light heavyweight title.
No, Israel did, and he gave an amazing show, and so did Jan.
They both fought
at the end of the day, they fought with everything they had. They left it on the mat, and it was spectacular.
That's hands down out of the cards that I have watched. And I've watched some good ones. That one was really good. It had a lot of talent in it. That was actually probably the first fight that I willingly watched the early prelims.
Mm-hmm.
I normally splatter paint and pick and choose which fights I watch live on the main card, and the rest of them I pick the highlights up on YouTube or on wherever social media platforms posted on.
I normally don't even watch the fights until after they've come out, but this time I really thought that this was going to be an interesting match, and it was. It was a chess match between two artists, is what they are.
Very, very great at their job.
They are amazing artists. At the end of the day, this is a martial arts, and they are fantastic at what they do.
They are. They really are.
There's a reason that both of them are champions. And even though it was a loss to Israel, good on Jan for winning. It's amazing that he won, and also good on Israel for trying.
It was very bittersweet for me. I really wanted Israel to win. That's one of my top guys that I like. But doing stuff like this and being a fan of the sport to the level that we are, you really can't be biased in a sport like this because there's not necessarily there's not teams. It's people, and you can't count certain people out ever. You can't count nobody out in a fight because any given day it only takes one.
It only takes one strike to knock somebody out. And I believe that if there was anyone that Israel had to lose to, I'm glad it was Jan.
Yeah, it was very classy about it. He wasn't upset at the end of the match. He was very upbeat. It showed very good signs of the future that it shows that he can go into light heavyweight division and make a statement and be a force. But after what I watched last night, it did show that there's a lot of work Izzy's going to have to do on his ground game, wrestling. He can, everybody can improve every aspect of their game no matter what it is you're doing, not just fighting, but he really needs to improve his ground game and being able to pass guard, get up when he needs to, do things on the ground.
Right now, I don't think Israel's ready for John Jones.
No, Izzy last night versus John Jones nowadays, he would have got annihilated. The exact same thing that would have happened last night would have happened against John.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, John, if he was to stand up and be, cocky and try to get in and throw with him, Izzy is easy to make somebody miss. And he's like the way he feints and jumps in and out.
That was one thing he was doing last night was he was turning his head and making Jan throw the punch and miss.
Yeah, he comes in and out of range, and it's those feints, and that's why they were saying something last night. It was so easy for Israel to make Jan miss because Jan was eating feints. He was biting on almost every feint that was thrown his way. He was, he engaging, and that's what Izzy wants. But he also stayed far enough out of range that, when he got inside, they landed. But when he was away from on the outside, he was landed too, and he stayed where Izzy couldn't tear his legs up. He was smart.
Yep.
That's just two very intelligent fighters going at it with each other. It's just a stalemate.
Yep. I'm glad it didn't stalemate. Like, personally, I'm glad it didn't go down to stalemate. I'm glad that Jan won. He deserved the win, in my opinion. And Israel did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
It was not
it's a sign of things to come.
It was not an Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson fight.
No. See, I really can't be upset because it's not like Israel just walked off in there and got annihilated.
Mm-mm.
He went off in there and he held his own. He took the fight to Jan.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't just, like, there's a lot of people that don't just get in there and do that in the light heavyweight division. That's a division known for people getting knocked out. It's the heavyweights. It's the big men. It's the big dogs.
Yep.
You don't see many heavyweight fights go into the decision like that because these men beat on each other. And and really you can try to take away whatever you want to try to take away from the sport, but them men, they go out there week in and week out putting their bodies on the line and beat on people and get beat on for a living.
Yep, they do that. And most of them live to fight again.
Yeah, they all do this, and they do it for a while.
Until they're about, in their late 30s.
Yeah.
But, that's still a career. That's a long time to get the crap beat out of you.
And that is putting a lot of stress on your body.
I believe that didn't mean to cut you off there, but not only is going into the octagon and fighting those 3 to 5 rounds stressful on the body, but those 6-7 week fight camps, training, sparring, this and that, cutting weight and stuff, that's a lot of mental stress and physical stress on the body as well. I heard a Shaolin monk say something, and it's kind of stuck with me ever since. You never go into a fight at 100%. You always go into it sore or weak in some areas, because you can't go in at 100%, because if you've relaxed and to make it to where that you're comfortable again, you're not at 100% then either. You can't go into a fight at 100%. You can only go into a fight with as much training as you've got and knowing what you can do, and that's what they did. All these cards were great. The only one that I was kind of like, that fight shouldn't have happened, was Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. But I'm not going to knock Megan Anderson. She's still she could beat the flip out of me. She could annihilate both of us.
I promise you, I wouldn't try the worst fighter in the entire on the roster.
No, sir.
I wouldn't try Dana White.
No, I would not try Dana White.
The only person I might try in the UFC, and that's CM Punk, and that man is 0-2. He got choked out one time and beat up the second time.
Megan Anderson, she can come back. She can make a comeback. She's still a strong, big woman. She's young. This was one of her first fights.
Her first championship fight. She finally made it where she was at. But Amanda does this, and it's not like she just started doing this last week. She's been doing this for a long time.
She fought Amanda, and yeah, she lost within the first round, but she fought Amanda.
Yes, it's
there's no woman out there right now that can fight Amanda
with anybody else, and she's gonna win. She's got everything to be a champion. It's just you got to be the man. You got to beat the man,
and that is a big hurdle right now.
Right, it's hard to put into words how good Amanda is. It's just, I knew from the get-go. I've been to the past couple fights she's fought in. When she fought Holly Holmes, I knew what was going to happen. When she fought Chris Cyborg, that was the only fight where I was like, man, I really don't know, because, Chris Cyborg was that person that was really hitting people really hard in the women's division. Mm-hmm. She brought in a whole new look on the sport. But Amanda mauled her.
Amanda, and I hate to sound like a meme, but Amanda is built different. She won't be challenged for a while. You don't watch an Amanda Nunes fight to see who wins. You watch to see how Amanda wins.
You watch to see how bad it is. Yeah. Or how long they lasted compared to the last person.
And 2 minutes and 30 seconds? That's no shunt.
That's a minute. That's a minute and a half, a minute and some seconds into the first round. The first round, she gets submitted. She gets hit a couple times, attempts a takedown, gets put on her back. After getting it stuffed, hammer fist, stack guard punches, and then she takes her back and puts her in a triangle and pulls the armbar too, and it's over with. Quick work.
Yep.
It was over as quick as it started.
Yep. Glad I didn't have to buy that. I have respect for Megan for trying. but we all knew how that fight was going.
Oh yeah, I knew. From the moment you texted me and asked me if I thought Miss Anderson was going to make an impact in that fight, I told you then. I said I'm going to respectfully say that like the third round. Respectfully, that was me giving her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, no, I said first round because I really didn't. I didn't see it lasting past the first round.
It didn't, and it didn't deserve to last past the first round.
No, she wasn't ready. She's, like I said, amazing fighter. She can do it, just not yet. Not yet.
She's not quite ready, but I mean, it'll get there.
It'll get there, and she shows a lot of potential, and that's what this sport is about: is acting on the potential that you have.
All right. Well, let's take a last little glimpse back over the 259 card before we start discussing one more little topic. Before we how long are you wanting to do it? Like we went for a minute.
Yeah, we've been here about 45
yeah,
minutes. But
and I ain't ran out of content yet. I promise y'all not gonna find nobody else that is just now starting to do this and can talk for as long as we can talk and never run out of topics to talk about.
No, we got time. I don't mind how long this takes. I'll just break it up.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna get broke down anyways, but I don't want to run into taking out our topics for the next fight, but I do want to touch on UFC 260.
All right, let's talk about 260.
We'll be able to recap that too.
Let's talk about 260. I don't know how to change.
Yeah.
I think it's here. Do I go to the right?
Somewhere. Oh yeah, that's fight night. That's next week.
13th, yeah.
Oh, check it out. That's another thing to talk about. It's getting open back up to where fans are about to be able to attend the fights again.
We're gonna have arena
Very
fights
happy
again.
That. Look, check it out, man. This one, Dana said he's gonna be the first one to do it. And he meant to go up some more. They're fighting in Las Vegas.
Yeah, UFC.
It's going to be the first fight that wasn't in Fight Island since like the early beginning of 2020.
Now I don't know a lot.
Or the end of 2019. This is going to be the first fight with fans since the ending of 2019.
I don't know a terrible lot about these fighters.
Leon Evans. The only one on these that I really know of is Misha Kerr or whatever his last name is. I'm not going to attempt that. Don't want to butcher it. Leon Edwards is very good.
Sirkunov, I think.
And Bilal Muhammad, he's bad man too. That one's gonna be a good fight. See,
I have heard about Muhammad.
Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad was supposed to fight on the 259 card, or no, something like that. But they've both had COVID, so they didn't get to come to a press conference or something like that. Dana was talking about it on the press conference of 259.
Hopefully this whole COVID thing's over with these vaccines, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting fight. I'd like to watch this one, to be honest with you. I think that it's going to... I would like to learn about these
I'm going to pick up, yeah. A lot of these, there's not many of them I just too much know about.
No.
Eric Anders and Derek Stewart, those are two guys too.
I've heard Darren Stewart before.
Yeah, those are middleweights. But when you look at up-and-coming fighters and like the middleweights and the heavyweights and stuff, for the people like Izzy and Jan Blachowicz and Stipe Miocic and all that, all these up-and-coming guys, if they don't show me something that's going to like show that they're going to have a future, I really don't keep up with them too much because I know who they're going to have to fight when they get to that point.
Anyone can be an up-and-comer. I mean, like, you and I could be up-and-comers. There's nothing really special about them. They have to make a name for themselves. Like, when Khabib fought, I'm so terrible with names, the guy that he almost lost to.
Gleison
Tibau. When he fought them, that was his sort of look at me kind of moment. Because he was a veteran and he still lost.
I mean, he come in and took it to him the whole time. I mean, at first, I really wasn't a fan of Khabib, but the only reason I could really find in my head that I wasn't a fan of Khabib for is just because of how good he was. Like, this man wasn't hyped. This man won and continued to win.
He's 29-0 now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the only man that hasn't lost a fight, period.
But he's still the champion, but he's gonna either have to, as
if he doesn't defend, he'll vacate it.
Yeah.
He'll have to vacate it, and they'll have a title unification bout, and the number one contender versus the number 2 contender, they'll fight for the title.
I honestly think that instead of that, they need to have a tournament style.
I wish they'd go back to tournament style like back in the day, because I want to watch some of these people fight more than one time one night. You know what? Hold up. We completely almost about missed this fight. We didn't talk about Islam Makhachev.
Oh,
Khabib
yeah,
2.0, as a matter of fact. This man called out Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, we didn't talk about him.
This is the only. That's the
That
only
was
fight
one of the. He was a prelim, wasn't he? No, he wasn't.
No,
a
he was
prelim.
the
main card.
He was the fight before Pelter.
Yeah, he's the one that I wanted to watch. One of the worst.
He
because,
submitted Drew Dober in the 4th round.
The smiling man, Drew Dober, he submitted him and took that smile away from him.
Yeah, he didn't look too happy to be there.
No, he
after
did
was
not.
done.
And it was a minute and 30 seconds.
He was not happy.
No.
There was a minute 30 left in the 4th. Jesus, if he didn't get submitted, he was finna lose anyway.
Yeah, that.
He done to go down and see where his strikes was landing.
Yeah, no, I know where his strike landed. I think he had landed most on the head. Yeah, because I looked at this.
He was
already.
head hunting.
He was head hunting, and Islam knew what he was doing. He struck to the head and the body so that way he could get to submission.
Yeah, he landed 80% of strikes to the head.
I mean, you can tell one was looking for a knockout, one was looking for a submission.
Oh, he was looking to annihilate. The other buddy, I don't think he thought he was going to stand up with him. I know I seen something about Dylan Danis talking smack on him. That buddy don't want to get in the octagon with nobody. Out of all the times I done heard Dylan Danis' name, I ain't never seen him in the octagon with nobody. Just because you train with Conor McGregor don't make you a big bad man.
Nope. Yeah, he was going to lose it the way he got 3 takedowns on for Islam, 15 significant to 10 for Islam, and 102 to 14 for Islam total strikes. It was going to be Islam either way, but the fact that it was a submission.
Oh, he was going.
You know.
He was bound and determined he was going to get the finish.
Oh,
he didn't want a decision, man.
No. And you know what? I think that shows the resilience of that fighter. I haven't heard too much about Drew Dober, except that he's an up and comer, kind of. I think he's got somewhat of a name for himself.
Drew Dober he's alright.
But I have heard about Islam.
These are all lightweight fighters.
Yeah, and I believe people are saying Khabib 2.0.
He trains with Khabib.
I think Khabib could take him. Right now, I don't think he's
Khabib
quite
would
that.
annihilate him.
He's not at that level. But
Khabib annihilates everybody that he put that. He's made me believe to the point now that whoever you put in front of Khabib, it's about like Amanda Nunes. You don't watch a Khabib fight to see who's gonna win. You watch to see how long it's gonna take. How long it's gonna take before this man gets put on his back and choked out or beat on.
Yep.
That's all. I mean, that's all his fights are. That's why I mean, a lot of people don't like watching Khabib unless you're a really fan of the sport and you like watching. Like people like progress their guards and pass guard, and all that different type of technique and stuff. If you like watching that, those fights are boring because it's a lot of one man on top of the other, and or as they would refer to it, a hugging match. But I mean, when you're 29-0, it's about like people trying to talk crap about Floyd Mayweather. The man ain't lost. You can say whatever you want, but
I mean,
the record speaks for itself.
We were talking about him last night, how he runs away, but at the same time, he's playing to win.
I mean, he's
making money from it too.
Yeah, look at when he fought Conor McGregor. That man won and left with $300 million. But not only you don't fight Floyd Mayweather to win, you fight to get blessed up. Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather and left with $100 million just for losing.
Yep.
I would have went out there and got my tail beat on for $100 million.
Absolutely.
I would have let him beat on me for the entirety of the 12 rounds. They should have won.
Absolutely. Now you put Floyd Mayweather in an octagon. And
he's not going
to win because he
gonna make it so far. And once somebody grab and MMA, they can grab a hold of you and keep you from doing all that running.
Yeah, and if you do run, you get disqualified.
Yeah, if you don't push the issue, they will. Get out of here, you're wasting my time.
Yep.
Dana will cut you and send you to Bellator or send you to one in a heartbeat. They don't care. Nope. Dana's there for that cash.
Dana's there to watch a good fight and make a lot of money.
But the thing is, a lot of people like Dana White. Like, I really ain't got that big of a problem against Dana White, but he does shaft his fighters. Pay-wise, there's a lot of people that aren't happy with Dana White. But I mean, when you run a multi-million-dollar business like that, I mean, you really can't care who likes you and who don't.
Yeah, I mean,
again, at the end of the day, he's making money.
He's going to sleep on his bed of money.
And anybody's got a problem with it, he has a roster full of trained, pretty much, assassins that he can send to beat on you, and you ain't able to do anything about it.
He can do it himself.
He's
not no pushover.
He's got plenty of bodyguards that he pays. to fight each other
You know what?
for our entertainment.
If somebody walked up in that thing and tried to fight, then I guarantee these guys are gonna protect their paycheck.
I'd send Francis Ngannou, the Predator. Speaking of the Predator, UFC 260.
Yeah.
The biggest, baddest rematch. Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. This fight's already happened once.
Mm-hmm.
And Francis was kind of on the same tear that he was before getting embarrassed by Stipe because Stipe could wrestle. At the time, Francis could not. He had to be on his back. He knocks pauses into people.
Mm-hmm.
Flatlines them.
Knocks them into a stutter.
Introduces them to the graveyard.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Francis has been doing some wrestling. He's been preparing for Stipe. Stipe finally signed the contract. Stipe was being spoiled because he said he's already beat this man once. He didn't have nothing to prove. I took that as him being scared. This man is coming off 5 vicious first-round knockouts. His last fight lasted 28 seconds. Jair Zeno Rosenstrike landed 1 leg kick. And then got laid up against the fence.
Yep.
Sleep.
Yep. I believe that fight is gonna. It reminds me a lot of the fight that we just watched, Israel versus Jan, simply because both fighters knew what the other had, but one could be out wrestled. That's in MMA. If you can be out wrestled and your opponent knows it, he'll try it, because it's an easy way to win by getting a submission from a guy who doesn't know how to defend it that well.
To be honest with you, I'd rather get submitted than I would get hit.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you know you're going to be outclassed, go ahead and lay down and let him submit.
Come on, I'm not gonna lay down and let nobody do nothing, but I would very much rather get choked out or something like that than get hurt.
Get knocked out.
What's the worst thing that can happen? I go to sleep. My pride gets ruined in front of millions of people.
To be fair, though, I wouldn't let the pride thing really ruin me.
That's
because,
what kills a lot of fighters in the roster, though, because they like pride a lot. They care about their image more than they do their skill.
We see that kind of things with people like Conor McGregor, who goes way out of their way. And
he let stardom get to him really quick. But, I mean, he's humbled now. I like Conor. Don't get me wrong, I liked the trash-talking, mad Irishman Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
But I also
Give me
like
your
this
belt,
humbled,
Conor.
yeah. I also like this humbled, more classy Conor too.
Yep. I believe that a fighter who has a mouth when he needs one is a good fighter to watch.
The best fights to watch is a fight that is not beef related, because if you got 2 fighters that respect each other, you're really gonna see who the better fighter is.
Like what we saw last night.
If you look, majority of these fighters, like, I'm not taking away from their skill, but people like Israel and Conor, they not only win in the octagon physically, but they play the mental warfare game.
Mm.
Those weeks it takes through the camp to get up to the fight night, they're playing a mental game with you. And by the time that they step in the octagon with them, they're so mad and everything that all they want to do is try to take his head off, and they completely throw caution to the wind and get beat up and get caught.
A good way to see that is Conor's last fight.
Like, look at him and Dustin. The first time him and Dustin fought, he talked crap to Dustin and beat him.
Mm-hmm.
The second time they was humbled up, and he got touched up.
That man went to sleep.
But the thing is, I think he needs to stop doing these weight cuts. Like, okay, you fought at featherweight, good on you. You fought at lightweight, good on you. You look very healthy and very good at welterweight at 170. He's fought at 145, 155, and 165. He looks good at 165. Yeah. Yeah. He also looks decent at 155, but I don't. He was the king of 155 for a long time. He was a lightweight champion, blase. But
He was a champ.
he was. He's the first one to do it in the UFC.
Yep.
It was him, Daniel, Amanda, Henry.
We were hoping that Israel would be the 5th.
Which that doesn't mean that he won't ever
It won't
make
mean that he
run.
won't ever be the 5th, but he's not yet.
I think the next one might end up being John Jones. I thought it was going to be John Jones, but he vacated his 205 title and went straight to 225.
If he had kept his 205, he'd have been fighting Israel.
Yeah, he would have ran from it. People say he went to 225 because he was running from Izzy.
I don't know. I feel like last night he could have taken him.
Oh, last night he would have mauled Israel.
Yep.
But the thing is, people pride John because he's the longest reach in the entire roster. He's got an 84-inch wingspan.
Yep.
And he's 6'4".
Yep.
Guess
And
what?
he's got power behind every inch.
Israel is 6'4",
Mm-hmm.
and he's got an 83-inch wingspan or 82-inch wingspan. So he's got John Jones has 2 inches of reach on him, and that's it. And right now, the weight and the age and the experience.
Of course, the age can also be a detrimental factor as well.
Yeah. But the thing is, the last fight I seen that John fought against Dominic Reyes, I thought John lost that fight, but apparently there was something in the third round that the refs saw or the judges saw that I didn't. And apparently it was something along the lines of a takedown or something like that gave him that little bit of an edge, and he ended up winning by split decision. I thought he lost that fight. He won 4 and 5, but I know for a fact he lost 1 and 2. 3 was a toss up, and John won 4 and 5. Well, he did enough, I guess, to take the third round, and that's what got him the split decision fight or victory.
We're gonna end this one now. This has been a
very, very fun time. I will like to say I hope that I have a permanent position on the podcast now. I know that Gabe doesn't have a name for it or nothing, but if I do, in fact, have a permanent position, our next podcast together will be very, very more organized. It won't be as all over the place as it was today. This was really our first shot, really doing something like this, podcast-wise. I've done talk shows on Facebook Live, but
nothing like this.
This is really fun. I have a very strong passion for the sport, and so does Gabe. We love watching it, and I don't mind setting out time of the week to come on here and be able to provide information like this for you guys that may not know as much as we do, or even for the people that may know more than us or as much.
You're getting a different opinion, and that's always fascinating to hear, right?
And not only that, you're getting an unbiased opinion.
Yeah.
A lot of things I see with a lot of people that do these things nowadays, there's a lot of people that are biased towards certain people and just completely throw the other people on the bus.
No.
There's a lot of people I like. I'm not going to be biased in UFC because you really can't count nobody out ever.
It only takes one strike, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we're not just going to talk about UFC on the show. I've got a bunch of things planned. I hope you guys have heard of Night Fight. I got some racing kind of stuff to look at, and I got some other things that I want to talk about. Hopefully Carson will join us. I think he will.
I think that, this could be like more along the lines, not just like a UFC entirety podcast.
I'm thinking martial arts and sports.
Or just combat sports in general.
Yeah. I'm thinking martial arts, sports.
Because we can we can go as far as looking at wrestling, boxing. We can do it all. I mean, just give us feedback. Let us know if you got anything specifically that you want us to talk about. We'll talk about that.
Yep.
I don't mind talking about anything. I love combat sports and whole mixed martial arts.
Anyone who gets into that sport, they are impressive.
It's full of excitement, and not only does it teach you fighting, if you go into wanting to learn something like that, it teaches you discipline about yourself, how to control your emotion. Yes, humility is a big part of it.
A big part. A lot of fighters don't even have enough, but they get humbled by these other fighters who are better than them. I mean,
there's other people. There's always that one person out there that's going to get you.
There's always a bigger fish. Always a bigger fish. But we're going to end it today.
Yeah, it's been a fun time.
It's been a fun time. I'll try and get this up there as soon as possible. I hope to see you guys again here soon. Have a blessed day, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Peace out.